Have you ever wondered why forgiveness carries more power than justice? Why the one who has been wronged grows stronger when he chooses not to strike back in the same way? In the eyes of people, forgiveness may look like weakness, but in the eyes of God, it is the mark of a heart that resembles His. And yet, among all these, there is one story that hides the hardest truth about forgiveness. But before we get there, let's begin with the stories of simple people, the brother and the stone. Two brothers inherited a piece of land from their father. Over time, one of them felt he had received less and grew bitter. One evening, in anger, he picked up a stone and hurled it at his brother's gate. The sound shattered the silence of the night, but not the heart of the older brother. In the morning, he found the stone, and instead of throwing it away, he placed it at the foundation of his house, saying, "This will be a sign for me, not of hatred, but of forgiveness. The stone you meant to harm me with will support what I am building." The news spread through the village. People saw how one chose anger, while the other answered with peace. And God, who looks at hearts, erased the sins of the older brother from His book, just as the brother himself had erased bitterness from his heart. The one who forgives becomes stronger than the one who did wrong. The servant and the door. A wealthy master had a young servant, clumsy and often careless. One day the servant slammed the house door so hard that he broke the lock. All the other servants expected the boy to be cast out. But the master, instead of being angry, smiled and said, "Better for me to lose a door than to lose a soul. A door can be fixed, but a wounded heart is not easily healed." The servant fell to his knees, ashamed yet grateful. That evening, as the master prayed, he felt in his soul that God opened the door of heaven to him and welcomed him with peace. For the one who forgives a small mistake receives forgiveness for his greater ones. The broken glass. Two sisters lived together in a small house. One of them owned a special glass, a wedding gift. One day the younger sister, tired and distracted, dropped it. The glass shattered into many pieces. Shame filled her face with tears. The older sister, seeing what happened, grew angry for a moment. But looking at her sister's tears, she felt another kind of strength rise in her heart. She embraced her and said, "A glass, no matter how beautiful, isn't worth as much as a sister. If I choose to lose you over shards, I lose what can never be replaced." From that day on, both understood that forgiveness is more precious than any material thing. The child and the apples. A hungry child sneaked into a neighbor's orchard and stole a few apples. He was caught by the owner of the trees and trembled with fear. He expected beating or scolding. But the neighbor, a man with a gentle heart, placed a basket full of apples in his arms and said, "If you are hungry, ask, and I will give. Do not steal, for theft will impoverish your soul, not your stomach." The child, with tears in his eyes, felt for the first time what it means to be forgiven. Later, in his prayers, he remembered that gesture and understood that God fills the heart more than one deserves. The bridge. Two neighbors quarreled over a boundary line. Anger grew between them until they raised fences taller than their houses. Years passed, and the silence between them became heavier than the wall itself. One day, one of them, weary of hatred, tore down part of the fence and built a wooden bridge instead. The other, seeing this gesture, felt ashamed and crossed the bridge, extending his hand. They wept and embraced. And then God whispered to them, "The one who raises walls shuts his own heaven, but the one who builds bridges, I make him heir of heaven." Forgiveness turned enmity into friendship, and that simple wooden bridge became for both a path to the peace of God. The clay vessel. A young apprentice worked in a potter's house. One day, out of carelessness, he broke a beautiful vessel that the master had worked on for a long time. Fearfully, he confessed his mistake. The master gathered the shards, glued them back patiently, and poured gold into the cracks, saying, "See, now the vessel is even more precious. So, it is with the soul. When it is forgiven, it becomes more beautiful than before." The apprentice wept, realizing that true power lies not in punishing, but in healing. And God, seeing the master's heart, gave him peace. For the one who forgives resembles him, the one who makes weaknesses into adornments and ruins into beauty. You have seen how forgiveness can turn a stone into a foundation, a shard into a treasure, a wall into a bridge. But what would you say about a forgiveness that no one expected? a forgiveness from someone who had every reason never to forgive. Hold on to that thought. You will discover it soon. The unquenched fire. In a village, a haystack burned down one night. Everyone blamed a man known for his carelessness. The crowd condemned him, but the owner of the haystack said, "If he has erred, may God forgive him. I have lost only straw, not his soul." His words extinguished the village's anger, as rain puts out embers. In that moment, God lit in his heart a flame of light that never went out. For when you forgive someone, you put out your own fire of hatred and kindle the fire of divine love. The torn cloak. A man borrowed his friend's cloak and carelessly tore it. He waited to be scolded and shamed, but his friend said, "Better that I go without a cloak than you without peace. A cloak can be mended, but our friendship must not be torn." Those words stayed forever in the heart of the guilty one. And God looked at the act and clothed the soul of the one who forgave with an invisible white garment of forgiveness. The true garment of a man is not the one worn on his body, but the one woven in his heart through love. The seeds. A farmer mistakenly let another sow on his land. When he found out, he could have demanded payment, but he said, "Leave your seeds here. Perhaps someone hungry will be fed from them. Better to feed a man than to have an empty field." Passers-by looked in wonder and asked themselves where such kindness came from. But God, seeing his heart, rewarded him elsewhere with 100-fold harvest. For the one who forgives a small injustice receives a great blessing, the harsh word. A man was insulted by his friend in front of everyone. All expected revenge, a slap, or a harsh reply. But he remained silent and said, "Better that I be humiliated than that we lose our friendship. Better my honor be lost than your soul." The friend, ashamed, asked for forgiveness and bowed before him. And God erased the insult like a cloud blown away by the wind. That day, everyone who witnessed understood that the strength of the one who forgives is greater than the strength of the one who strikes. The moldy bread. A poor stranger came to a family's house and brought a moldy loaf of bread, the only thing he had. The other guests laughed, but the host broke off a piece and ate it, saying, "I value the gesture more than the bread." The stranger wept, feeling received and loved, and God looked and said in the host's heart, "This is how I receive your gifts. It is not their value that moves me, but the heart with which they are given." By forgiving the shame of another, that man received forgiveness for his own shortcomings. The debt. A merchant lent money to a poor man. After some time, the man could no longer repay. Everyone expected the merchant to throw him into prison, but he said, "Better to have a grateful friend than a full purse. A purse empties, but a thankful heart remains forever." The poor man fell at his feet, giving thanks. And God, seeing the gesture, wiped away the unseen debts from the merchant's soul, counting him richer than gold. For the one who forgives resembles God, who forgives our debts each day. You have heard their stories. Simple people who chose to let go of anger and embrace forgiveness. It may seem hard, it may seem unfair, but the one who forgives is always richer than the one who has done wrong. Do you remember the story I told you about? The one that hides the hardest truth? Here is that truth. Forgiveness is not only between people, it is between the soul and God. For when you forgive your neighbor, God himself erases your debt in heaven, and then you understand that true power is not in the hand that strikes, but in the heart that knows how to forgive. God does not overlook such gestures. He gathers them in his book and responds in the same measure. The one who forgives receives forgiveness. The one who gives peace receives peace. The one who forgives loses nothing. On the contrary, he gains peace, he gains freedom, and above all, he gains divine forgiveness. For as Christ said, "Forgive, and you will be forgiven." In these Christian parables, you have seen how simple people, brothers, friends, neighbors, strangers, chose to forgive, and through their gestures, they touched heaven. Thank you for listening. If you wish to support me, you can subscribe to the channel. If you felt that something you heard spoke to you, leave a like, stay, listen, come back for more. In the beginning, it was only me. Now, we are here together. This is not about crowds. It's about truths that sit well in silence. Until next time, I hope you too will find your path.